very, very quickly. And more, sorry, I skipped one. More, 笔, more, 纸, yan. More is the second one. More is the ink stick. So we see here is this black little square. It looks like this. I'm holding it in my hand now. So this is a black stick that we use it to make ink on inkstone. Yeah, inkstone. So what we do is just to grind this stick on the inkstone, and we make ink on it. But today we use it recently in recent years, people don't usually use traditional ink stick and inkstone to make ink because to be honest, it's quite slow. So usually we use bottled ink or pigments instead. So these are the tools we need to make traditional Chinese painting. If you don't have them, you can use watercolor painting pigments, watercolor paper to be instead. Okay, so another fun fact of Chinese painting is calligraphy is often a part of Chinese paintings. Unlike in Europe, the tools of painting and writing in ancient China, we just talked about 笔墨纸砚. They are exactly the same as the writing tools because most ancient Chinese artists who painted, they were not professional painters, but scholar bureaucrats. They spent most of their lives in their studies, and where the paintings and calligraphy were important pastimes for them. And therefore, it's very common to write a poem or a few words on the paintings to express their feelings after painting it. Like, when it's like more of having fun than creating serious art. So not all, but most Chinese paintings we see in the art galleries, in the museums, have calligraphy writings on them. And Chinese painting is mainly categorized into two major styles: meticulars in Chinese 工笔 and freehand in Chinese 写意. And the meticulars paintings are like the Renaissance art. They are precise, they're detailed, they're beautiful, and the freehand paintings are more like the Impressionism. They are fast, they are generalized and free-spirited. And unlike the Renaissance and Impressionism, which appeared in Europe hundreds of years apart, the two Chinese schools of fine art have coexisted for thousands of years. We have both these two styles of painting for thousands of years. And another fun fact is there is no shading nor shadows in Chinese painting, and therefore Chinese paintings always give a very clean and transparent look. So in the paintings, you don't see any shadows, any shadings in the picture. And also in Chinese paintings, there isn't a fixed point perspective. When you look at the Chinese painting, your point of view is moving, flowing, just like shift photography. So now we are looking at is a scroll. So many Chinese paintings are scrolls. The picture is very long, and what we are looking at is the most famous Chinese landscape painting. The title of the painting is called along the river during the Qingming festival, Qingming Shanghetu in Chinese, which is 5 meters long, but only 25 centimeters high. So it's a very narrow, long script that is usually rolled up a scroll. The people who view this painting will naturally move their eyes from right to left, and therefore there's no fixed point of view. So it's more like a flow. Okay, so that's the 5 fun facts about Chinese painting. And next we'll get to work, and we will do plum blossoms in Chinese painting. And there are plum blossoms. This motif. This is quite an important motif in Chinese painting, because the plum blossoms bloom in winter and the coldest season of the year, and so it symbolizes not being afraid of difficult situations and thriving in adversity. And just like we are now experiencing a bitterly cold winter, not very cold today here. I'm in North Wales. The weather's quite nice today. Okay. I hope you have a nice weather too, wherever you are. Okay, so now I'm going to share. I'm going to switch to my second camera. If you're doing it with me, could you please turn on your camera so maybe I can see your artworks? Hi, Sunny in Cardiff, great. Hi, Alexandra, and hi, everyone. Okay, now. Okay, now I'm sharing my desktop, a camera that's filming my desktop. Can you see my screen sharing, guys? Thank you. Okay, great. So now let's get the things we need. So 4 treasures of the study, do you remember what they are? The first, brushes, 笔, and more is ink, right? So I'm using like the bottled ink I got from Amazon. And also we can use these like Chinese pigment, and we're doing the plum blossom. So I'll keep it very simple, just black and red. Okay, and this is the ink stick. Sorry. Usually, if you have an inkstone, you just grind it like this to get ink. But today I'm not using it, so I'm gonna put it aside. And of course, some water. We need just a bit, and paper. I have sham paper here. Sham paper is just the paper we usually use for calligraphy and Chinese painting. So I'm going to. My desk is so small here. My desk is the size of like a McDonald's tray. So, but I can't do anything about the desk right now. I just zoom out a bit and okay. And the way zooming out is by moving my camera, and by second camera, I'm actually talking about my iPhone. I'm filming my desk with my iPhone and sharing my iPhone screen to the to my computer, and that's what you are looking at. So you can see my iPhone here in front of me. Sorry about that. That's my camera. Okay, so the Chinese painting is about. This is something I did earlier to show the wet and dry. So the most important thing about Chinese painting is the water and ink. Like how? Okay, sorry. If the screen froze or you can't see anything or anything is blocking the camera, please let me know because it happened before. And things happened before. I experienced like a lot of like mess up, a lot of oops moment in online sessions. So we have dry ink. When you take more ink and less water, you can create a dry texture like the rocks here. So it's relatively dry. You create the texture of rocks. And when you are drawing like animals, you want them to be fluffy, like this bunny here. You take more water, so you can create this fluffy texture. So what we need in a plum blossom is the branch and then the flowers. So when we draw the branch, we need it to be dry. So I'm going to start from the base, just one stroke. Just take a bit of ink and do that. Keep it dry, and then you don't have to copy this, like copy the picture. Just go with what you like, go with your instinct. So this is the base, and I'm going to go up from here. Keep your brush dry. If it's too dry, you can always save it later. If it's too wet, it's impossible to save, if it's too wet. Okay, so this is the basic shape of the branches, a bit of a trunk and some branches. I'm going to just leave it here, and I will add some details later. And now I'll take another brush to draw the flower petals. The flower petals, we take color red, and it should be wet. You should take more water and a bit wetter. Is that a word? Wetter than the previous. Then when you draw these branches, because you want the flower petals to be soft and a bit transparent and in a nice red color. So not too wet, but not too dry. So I'm gonna draw one that's just here. Just the very simple and just 5 petals. And just draw it quickly so it won't be won't be too wet. We don't want it to be too wet because it will take ages for them to dry before we can add the details. another one here facing this side, facing like this side. And I have another one here. And some flower buds. Just the flowers that's not open, hasn't bloomed. So just leave a few dots here. And if you ever like really looked at the plum blossoms closely, you see there are tiny little flower buds on the branches. So I'm just going to make little dots here and there. Okay. Whew. So we have the main parts. I have the main parts done here. And let me see. Wow. I see Alexandra's. And Eileen's. Well done, Eileen. Let's have. And Alexandra's filming her desktop. Well, that's very nice. And Helen, thank you. Thank you. Well done. So let's continue. Oops. Okay. So before we add any details to the flowers, we'd like to make sure that they are dry enough, or it's going to be a mess. So actually, ladies, we know this because we wear makeups, right? You don't mess up your eyeshadows and your eyeliners. If you just put on some spray on your face, you wait patiently until they're dry to put on anything else. So let me see. So I'm going to just take a smaller brush. This one is a lot smaller than the previous one. If you have a smaller brush, use a smaller brush. If you don't, just use the tip of your brush. It's okay. Just use the tips, and now we are going to add some details to our paintings. So take some water, definitely not too wet. So here's one more little plant here. And now the flowers, I believe they are dry now. So the details. Just one little circle in the middle, just in the center of the flower. Now we're going to draw this like the firework shape. Very thin lines, just like writing the characters, like drawing eyeliners, thin lines, and the shape of it like firework. Okay, that's one flower, and then we are going to do the one that's next to it. And notice like the flower is facing a bit upwards, like facing this side. So we're going to draw it like this. And this part, okay, so now I've finished the flowers, and we can still add some details like the little, sometimes we see little knots or moss on the tree trunk, so you can have some dots here and make it look more detailed and real, right? Okay, so I've finished the paintings here. My painting here. Oh, I'm so scared. Because
You're doing great, dear.
Thank you, Aileen. Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
doing great too. That's a very nice painting. Thank you, Aileen, and thank you, Alexandra and Helen. And I don't know if how other people are doing. If you're not doing with us, I hope it's fun to watch. And so, are we ready to move on to the second part? We're gonna do some paper cutting. So I'm gonna switch to. We're going to do pretty much the same thing. So a brief introduction, and then we're gonna do some paper cutting at the second part. Whew. That's a relief. Doing paintings live is a lot of pressure. In Chinese, if you screw up live, in Chinese we call it a car crash, 车祸. So don't want a car crash. And now I'm going to show you my size again. Thank you, Eileen. Just 1 second. Oh. Okay, so now you should be looking at my paper cutting size. So let's see. So the tools you need are a pair of scissors, piece of paper, and pen, pencil, and maybe some paperboard and glue, that's optional. So in Chinese paper cutting part, in Chinese we call it 剪纸. 剪纸, 剪 means cutting and 纸 means paper, and it is one of the oldest and most popular folk art in China. Dates back to 600 BC. It's an ancient form of art, and it's still a popular activity in China, especially among the school students. And the colors in paper cutting, the traditional Chinese paper cutting is often red, but all colors and shades can be used. Traditionally, we don't do white, because the paper cutting is also called 窗花. So the 窗 is the window, 花 means flower, so it's flower on the windows. So and in Chinese tradition, white flowers are for dead people. So that's why most Chinese people don't do paper cutting in white. But now a lot of people do. It's like people are getting lazier and lazier in all the traditions and taboos. You just do whatever you want. It doesn't matter now. So the themes of Chinese paper cutting, the most oftenly created themes are character. It has something to do with calligraphy, and portraits, and animals, flowers. So let's see the characters. The first one, Xi, this character is double happiness. So it's oftenly used in weddings. So if you watch Chinese TV programs, when you see this character, you know it's a wedding. And Lu, this means fortune. I believe in Jingjing's session yesterday, she talked a bit about the characters, right? So you must be quite familiar with them. Fu, blessing. So this Fu character is oftenly put up on the doors. It means like it brings good luck to your family. And Chun, spring. And this character, because Chinese New Year is also called 春节, Spring Festival. So the Chun character is oftenly made during the Chinese New Year. And we see the portrait paper cutting. This is a queen in Beijing opera. It's called Hua Dan. It's a character, like every queen is called Hua Dan. And landscape, of course. And now, in ancient times, paper cutting was not considered an art. Only the calligraphy, poetry, and painting have left their mark on the history of Chinese art. But in modern China, paper cutting is valued, and we can often see exhibitions of paper cutting art in art galleries and museums today. And next, let's look at the work of a few famous paper cutting artists. And this artist, Li Fengying, her work much explores the relationship between people, in particular lovers, family, and parent-child relationships. And this is the golden boy of paper cutting, Yuan Shengke. He's born in Henan. He does a lot of modern themes, paper cutting. And this artist, Liu Lanying, she's like the Picasso of paper cutting. You can just see how powerful her work is. In her paper cutting, I see more shapes and shadows of people, animals, insects, and they just take people to a spiritual world. So I like her work a lot. She's probably my personal favorite artist. This is her, a powerful artist with her scissors at hand. And Ku Shulan, she's the legend of Chinese paper cutting. There are so many details, so many stories in her paper cutting, and not to mention her use of color. She's almost like Matisse. The colors and the shapes fit perfectly, and her art is just full of love, full of life and gratitude for the world. But actually, her life was spent in poverty. She endured violence and abuse from her husband, and she gave birth to 13 children, but only 3 survived to adulthood. At the time of her death, she had no family. This is her in her house. And if you are interested in looking into more paper cutting art, Google Art and Culture has an online paper cutting museum. If you search China Paper Cutting Museum, and it will take you to more brilliant Chinese paper cutting artwork. Okay, so that's the end of the introduction, and now let's do some paper cutting. Now I'm going to just do the same and switch to my desktop. Okay, that's quite a lot today. We just did paintings, and now we're going to do paper cutting. Oof. Okay, now what you need is just paper, colored paper, or white, doesn't matter, but not too thick, because we're cutting the paper, so we don't want them to be thick. Just take the thin paper. Okay, so before we do it, let me show you some of the paper cutting I did. I really like paper cutting. I do it not only for teaching, but for fun too. Especially in the lockdowns, I did quite a lot. So this is one, and this is like a simpler one, and being more creative, I did one with like the vase shape, and also like the butterflies, and I did some smaller ones. I really have a lot, and I do like tiny ones, just the size of stamps. Oh, so I do tiny ones too. So they're really just a lot of fun. I hope you can enjoy making it, and not after this session, you'll still enjoy doing this activity, and maybe do it with your family, with your children. So it'll be a lot of fun. And for New Year, for Spring Festival, I did, so we usually do zodiac animals, right? So what's the zodiac animal last year? Do you remember? Just before this year, it was the year of ox. So this ox. These are what I did for last year's Spring Festival. And this year, with the school children, I did a paper cutting session with Welsh schools just a few days ago, actually, on Chinese New Year, on 1st of February. So I did the tiger, and I did 4 tigers, like this. And for today's session, let's do one. Should we do the tigers, or should we do something just, creative? And I did this yesterday, the spring. You remember this character? Chun Spring Festival. And I did one in Hangul, Korean poem that's means spring. So they are quite suitable for Spring Festival. But okay, that's just.
Yeah, you've got request for tigers. Well, 2 requests for tigers and 1 for spring character. So up to you.
Up to me. Okay, so tiger or the character. If you don't have any preference,
Oh, spring character is coming up more now.
Okay, that's great. I didn't do the character with my students because I didn't believe in their Chinese character writing. I teach because the session with the school children, they were really younger children. So I'm so happy I get to do the character today. So let's do the characters. So the first thing the paper I'm using is just a A4 size regular paper here. That's what we use in office, printer, copier, copy machines. So if you want to do a really great, proper Chinese paper cutting, like the real authentic ones, you can get special paper on Amazon. So the first thing I'm going to do is get a square shape. So just bring the short side here to the long side, fold it, and then get rid of just this bit we don't need, okay? So let's just get a square shape. So this part we can do a long one from this part. So now we're going to focus just on the square one. So now let's fold it diagonally like this in half, and then the second time, 2 times. Here. And then what we're going to do is fold it in half, not in half, 1/3, fold 1/3 like this. So we can create 6 heart shapes. But if you just fold it in half again, it still works. You'll get 4 heart shapes. So let's fold it like this, and then fold it back like this. And you don't have to be perfect. So it's okay if they don't cover, the pieces don't cover each other perfectly. Yes, I see Erin's is well done. And oh, Alexandra, I like the paper you choose. That's a beautiful color. I like it. Okay, now let's draw the pattern on it. Now we have this. So I've done this, so we can just draw the pattern like this. So to make it easier, I like to show you the character. So the character looks like this, right? That's a spring. So what we do is the character here, when I teach the students to write this character, is 1, 2, 3, 3 strokes, and then 1, 2, the character that means person, that is 人. So, and then just the 日 at the bottom. So now what we are going to do is to draw half of this character in a heart shape, in a half heart shape. Okay. And just one thing we need to be careful is not to break it. So we need it to be connected on the sides. So you always need some point to connect the shapes, so that we don't break it. So 3 strokes, 1, 2, 3 here, and one stroke here in the middle to link it, and then just the 人 shape. Okay. And the bottom is a square shape and with one stroke in the middle. One stroke in the middle, and here's the closed square shape and the heart. Okay, so I'm just gonna shade the parts here so you can see it. And now let's start cutting. So I have my scissors here. I have 2. One is bigger, one is for the details, smaller. And I usually start from the outline. Just cut off the bits we don't need. And then start from here.
Yeah, can you move your heart closer to the camera so people can see you cutting? Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Erin. That's the mistake I always make, because when I'm like focused on cutting things, I forget to check the camera. Thank you. Okay, so we keep the strokes in these characters stronger. You know, if we get too thin, it's easily it can break easily. So I've done like this bit. Now I have two parts left, this part and this part. Now the thing is how to get your scissors in it. So the correct way, the right way is, I'll show you another way, the lazy way later. So the right way is just fold it a bit and you just cut the parts we don't need with scissors. So your scissors can go in from here, right? So that's a right way to do it. And the lazy way is just you just break the strokes. Break it a bit. You just break it from the side, and your scissors just like this bit. I can just go in from here. So this is the lazy way. I just go in from here, and it won't break the whole paper cutting. It won't break the paper. It's just less perfect. I get rid of this part. This is the easy way, and the hard and correct way. Or if you have knives, actually, if you have knives at hand, you can just use the knife to make a cut here, and so your scissors can go in. Okay. Okay, I'm almost done. Just one bit left. I'm just gonna cut out this bit, and I can finish this one. So technically, we're still celebrating Chinese New Year, right? So last Chinese New Year was on the 1st of January in lunar calendar was on this Tuesday or last Tuesday? Last Tuesday. Okay. So we have Chinese New Year celebration until next Tuesday. So you can still put up the paper cutting on your window to have some like Chinese New Year atmosphere in your house. So, and okay, I've done this one, finished, and now let's unfold it. Whew. So So let's see. This one here.
Looks really good, yeah. I stupidly use, look at Alexandra's as well. I stupidly use card and my fingers absolutely hurt. That's how far I got.
I know. That's if you use the card, you have to cut it like really, really hard. You have to have a strong grip.
Well, I thought it was thin enough to fold properly, but I didn't count for all the folds, did I? So yeah, amateur hour here, sorry. But no, that looks great. And Alexandra's, yours look fab.
Wow, that's so beautiful, Alexandra. Oh, and I see Sophie's.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
Thank you
Great.
so much. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you. What's a question here for you, dear? I don't know if you can answer it. Somebody's asked why is it oh, I've lost it now. Let's see, something about the paintings being on scrolls. Is there a particular reason why many Chinese paintings are on scrolls?
Is there a reason? I think have you seen the like the ancient Chinese bamboo books in Chinese museums? Have you seen that? Like they are so before papers were invented, Chinese people used to write on like bamboo sticks, like sticks one, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they were made into bamboo scrolls. Have you? So if you go to the museums next time, you see like, just pay attention to those Chinese ancient books, and that's why Chinese people write from top to bottom, from right to left, and they were made into scrolls because that's the easiest way to carry bamboo sticks around, right? So I guess that's the reason Chinese people are used to have scrolls to read and write on scrolls. So that's probably why we have so many scrolls.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
There's a bit of love in the chat for you to say how much people are enjoying this session. I'm just conscious of time, but really, really thank you. I think we've all had fun and learned a few things. I'm going to try my paper cutting thing again. I'm going to do it because it's a really good one for Valentine's Day as well, because it's a heart shape. And yeah, and it can stay up because it's this character for spring, isn't it? So really, really thank you, and really appreciate you giving up your time. I hope you enjoyed spending your time with us as well.
I did.
Yeah.
Thank you, Irene. I'm so happy. Yeah. I was nervous. I was very nervous, but
no, you did great though. Nothing to be nervous of at all. And luckily, we didn't have any IT issues, which is even a bonus. So.
I know.
Oh, Joyce! Yay! Look at your one.
Thank you so much.
Great. I hope everyone who joined us today had fun and thought that was a very therapeutic hour to spend your way to spend your lunch hour. But yeah, well, we'll try and get the recording to everyone when we can. We have had some IT issues in sharing the videos because of privacy issues with SharePoint, because we're all in different departments. But yeah, thank you for taking time out, and thanks once again, Jia.
Thank you for having me so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much. It was really good. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.